I don't pay a whole lot of attention. I think those are some of the things that take care of themselves. I've always been good at focusing on the things I can control. But that being said, the number one position is an awesome title. I think one of those things, no matter what you do, to be able to say for a while that you were the best in the world, is pretty awesome. So that's a cool title. I think all of us that play here have those aspirations to be the best of the best. It's cool that it's attainable. I know it wasn't long ago that number one ranking was not attainable. I mean, Tiger had such a lockdown on it that just everybody else was so far behind. The second was the only place you could really try to get to. Now there's a number of us kind of within distance, or it's at least attainable by year end to be the best player in the world. It's pretty exciting.
Bill?
Matt, you talked about working with Chris. How much does that help you in going toward the U.S. Open? And also, how long have you been with him?
Chris and I started in 2006. I was back on that web.com back then, and I feel like I've improved every year. I feel like there hadn't ever been you've got to get worse to get better. It's been a great progression, and it's great timing. I mean, my work with Chris is, I seem to always get better and better, and so leading up to a tournament like the U.S. Open is great. I actually changed my schedule this year leading up to the Masters, played both tournaments in Texas, the San Antonio and Houston, which is not normal for me to make Masters week 3 in a row, but I figured, gosh, after 2 weeks with Chris, I've always seemed to got in pretty good form, and last year had the 2 weeks, had a second here, had to win at Memorial next week, so I always feel like I get on some good form, with that time with Chris. So U.S. Open looming, it's certainly good timing.
Matt, you mentioned obviously the number one spot being attainable by several guys. What do you think that does for the game when you have there's an attainability for different guys and there are different guys in the mix to be number one?
It's exciting. I mean, the game of golf is great. If Tiger has a lockdown on number one, the game of golf is great. If a number of guys got a chance, it's a little more fun for the guys that have a chance. There's some excitement there, but the game of golf is certainly strong. We've got amazing new guys coming along. We've got some veterans that continue good golf. It's kind of fun to see this week's field, having some of the guys like Olin Brown and Keith Clearwater and some of those older guys in the field. I think that's cool. I think it's good for the game.
Matt, you got a chance to join a pretty exclusive list of players who have won both at Harbour Town and here. What similarities do both golf courses have with each other?
Certainly tight tree line, a lot of dog legs. Driving the ball is crucial. I think very, very demanding driving golf courses, and ones you have to shape the ball both ways, both left to right and right to left. And Hilton Head maybe even more so than here, not only being in the fairway, but the proper side of the fairway. There's certainly a lot of positioning involved in each course. But I think guys really enjoy playing because there's so much strategy, whether or not to be aggressive on certain holes. You can take the 3rd hole, the 5th hole, so many different ways to play it, the 9th hole, so many different ways where you can be safe off the tee, leave yourself a longer, more difficult approach shot. You can take on some challenge, and there's a good risk-reward factor on all those holes. If you take it on, you make the hole a potential birdie hole. But if it doesn't come off, it's a bogey hole. So I think a lot of great risk reward on both courses.
You finished second last year. Can you just talk about, I guess, Sunday and your thoughts on making a run for it there?
It's always exciting, having a chance. I was in the position. This is a tournament that certainly ranks really high on my list of tournaments I'd like to win. Always was exciting. Can't really control what the other guys do. I wasn't my sharpest, but it's still hard to knock a second place finish. You're playing against the best guys in the game of golf. That was great to see Boo Weekley do so well. He's a great asset to the PGA Tour, a great guy, and certainly one of those fantastic ball strikers, a winner of both. We talked about a small club that's won Hilton Head and here, and Boo Weekley's part of that group, and deservedly so.
Matt, I'm guessing you probably never met Ben Hogan, but have you read his book? Do you admire his? What's your history of with Ben Hogan?
Certainly a huge admirer. I think a lot of what I do with my swing, I think most people think of my swing as being very flat, but a lot of what I do with my swing tries to emulate a lot of what he does, particularly the impact area. And I think everybody would love to do what he did with the golf swing, with the golf ball, and I feel like a lot of my work with Chris tries to get as close to that as possible.
Mike?
Man, obviously, length off the tee is not really a disadvantage out on tour, but are there places on this course where maybe being long could be a little of a disadvantage?
No.
No.
That is always an advantage. There's no reason why length is never an advantage. You always have the ability to hit an iron. You always have the ability to play shorter. There's so many places where it's just an asset that you just, some people have and some people don't. And that's I think never a bad thing.
Is it less of an advantage here though than in other places?
Hard to say. Hard to say. You wonder about those long guys if they hit a 2-iron as far as I hit a driver. Is it easier to hit a 2-iron in the fairway than it is a driver? I'm not sure. That's not something I always feel like I have a better chance of hitting the fairway if I'm hitting an iron off the tee than a driver. But certainly there's a lot of places where they can hit driver as an advantage. I don't never see having length as a disadvantage.
On a typical round out here, how often will you pull driver on the driving holes?
I use it a fair bit. I use it probably more than most. It was interesting watching Ryan Palmer go around last year, being a local guy that plays here quite a bit. And I think when you feel like it's more your home course, when you're playing just for fun, you're not pulling out iron. Irons just aren't that much fun to hit off the tee, and so Ryan's used to hitting driver off most tees, and saw him hitting drivers off tees I didn't think he would. The 9th hole comes to mind. 9th hole, I flip-flop between every now and then as a driver, sometimes as a 3-wood, sometimes a hybrid, but I think I'm one of the few guys that would ever consider hitting driver, and watching a local guy pull driver there, you think maybe there's something to it. I hit driver a fair bit, but that being said, I'm not. My drive's a little different than some of the longer guys. I don't fear some of the dog legs, but I also think my driving accuracy is pretty strong. I think that's a strength of mine, and so I try to use those strengths on certain holes where I can take an advantage. At maybe 9, if I'm feeling really good with the driver, to try to make that into a birdie hole, to try to turn what's a lot of times just get a par and get out of there into a legitimate shot at making birdie.